hellfire whose name is Wayn. So by Allah mentioning Waynul lil Musallin, woe to those who are neglectful in prayer, indicating that those who leave their prayer or do not offer their prayers, that they will receive this valley in hellfire. This is a severe threat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those who leave their prayers, are neglectful of their prayers, or who combine their prayers, making them up in one go, and particularly if there is no valid reason. Prayer is so important, my brothers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's a command from Allah. Allah said, وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ. It's a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prayer is one of the only acts of worship that was revealed whilst the Prophet ﷺ was in the heavens. It's your connection between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth. That is your connection, where a person, he forgets the world, and for a few minutes, he offers himself and he submits himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you are disconnected and away from the prayer, you are disconnected from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even to the extent, if a person, look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects the prayer to such a degree, that if a person cannot offer the prayer standing, he must offer the prayer sitting. And even if he cannot offer the prayer sitting, he must offer the prayer even nodding his head, making slight movements with his body. And even if he cannot do that, according to some scholars, he can even pray with his eyes. So at all times, the prayer is expected from each and every one of us. There is absolutely no excuse from anyone to neglect prayer or miss prayer or not pray. There are some people who do not offer the prayer. Maybe some make Taraweeh, but they don't offer any other prayer at all. Maybe they only offer prayer in Ramadan, but outside of Ramadan there's no prayer. It's very important that prayer is established in a person's life, otherwise he will be away from that thing which he needs, which is the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They asked the Prophet about the most virtuous act, and he said the prayer. They asked him again, he said the prayer. They asked him again, he said the prayer. He said it 3 times. They said, then what? And then he said, jihadu fi sabilillah. My brothers, today we spend so much time in the dunya, in the world. We chase the world. For example, some people go to the gym and they pump iron for 4 or 5 hours. Some people, they watch TV endlessly. Some people play their games endlessly. But what about for Allah, when that time comes for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Then they have sore backs, or they can't bend down properly because their backs are hurting them because of 4 or 5 hours in the gym. What about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The first thing that you'll be asked, a person will be asked on the Day of Judgment, one of the first things you'll be asked about on the Day of Judgment will be your prayer. And if that is good, then all things to come after that which will be good. And if that is bad and negative, then all things that will come after that will be negative. It is a command from Allah. And I just want to give you an example about those who reject the command of Allah. Look at what Allah did to Iblis. Remember what Allah said in the Quran, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ. We told the Malaika, and Iblis was with them. He was a jinn. He was with them. He told them to bow down to Adam, and they didn't bow down. What happened? فَأَبَى وَاسْتَكْبَرَ وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. He rejected, he had pride, and he became one of the disbelievers. See, you take a big gamble, take a big risk when you stay away from prayer. That means you're taking a very, very big risk with your life. And as we spoke about the previous week, delay or time is a factor that people they misuse and they abuse greatly to such a great extent. Come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make your prayers. Be connected again, and that's the way you get connected. Those people who turn away from Allah, at the end of the day, it's very important that we offer the reminder to those people, and we encourage those people in the best way possible, and we bring them back to salat. Do not disconnect from Allah. You take the risk just like other people took the risk and suffer the consequences from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, I want to remind everybody is that what happens outside, you see, for example, that they may squeeze juices outside, or carrot juice, so on and so forth. Now this all goes to charity. All that you see outside, it goes to charity. And and much of what you donate, everything of what you donate goes to charity as well. So be a giving person. Be a giving person in this time of giving. Do you know, as a matter of fact, that when you give in charity, you do not decrease your wealth? Those people who think that they're actually giving away money and that they'll suffer a loss because of the money they gave, that's actually incorrect thought. It's an incorrect belief. Do not ever believe or think or assume that a person can give money to Allah or for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will not open up 10 doors for him. You do not decrease in your wealth when you give in your wealth. And those who gave for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will come on the day of judgment and they will see mountains on their right, mountains on their left, mountains behind them, and they'll say, where did this come from? What is this as a result of? What is this for? What was done to produce all of this? And this is from the donations and charity that a person would give in this life. Give up something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, and give up something that really means to you. All of what you see around you is donated to charity. Many people around the world are suffering in very unfortunate circumstances. If they're not being burned, they're being raped, they're being persecuted, they're being slaughtered, they're being murdered, they're being butchered, their houses are being destroyed. Many unfortunate circumstances around the world. Be a very giving person, be a very generous person, and never ever neglect your prayer. Believe me, you neglect your prayer, you take the risk that all those suffered before you. They took the risk, they suffered, they died, and Allahu A'lam, where their destination will be. Do not take that gamble with your life, do not take that risk. You are here for a purpose, so use your purpose. I'll finish with this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ, and seek assistance and seek aid in patience and prayer. In patience and what? And prayer. That is your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Keep in your mind that those who desist from prayer are disconnected and have disconnected themselves from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.